All right, good morning and welcome to our November Central Oklahoma Transportation Parking Authority's trust meeting. I want to take just a moment this morning to recognize one of our Embark Plus operators, Jackie Greitz, who received a trophy, which I'll go down and present to him here in a minute, at last month's Oklahoma Transit Association bus rodeo. Jackie placed fifth, but it should be noted it's your first time in competition, so it was, and you were the only first-timer to place in the competition. He competed in 5 different events: a written test, pre-trip inspection, wheelchair passenger boarding and securement, smoothness operation, and navigating the bus through an obstacle course. Jackie's been a paratransit driver for 9 years. He's a senior deacon of the Masonic Lodge in Mustang and a Shriner, and says we're going to display your trophy down at our South May facility after I present it to you today. So if you'll excuse me, I'll go down and do that. Maybe talking. Is this on? Oklahoma Transit Driving Championship 2014 5th place shuttle bus category. Tell us, I'm curious though about the obstacle course. Tell us just briefly what that is.
Oh,
is that 100 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour?
It's moving very slow. It's going in and out of turns, backing into like a driveway, left and right, pulling up to a curb. There's also a speed part where you have a very short distance to get up to 20 mile an hour, then you have to, it's like an emergency stop and get closest to cones. But it takes about 8 minutes to get through, and it's 8 minutes of torture.
Were you able to practice before? I mean, you knew what it was.
I had a couple of hours.
To practice?
Yeah. We're busy. We got people to carry. We don't have time.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
And I appreciate the Embark allowing me to represent our great city. If we were the host city this year for the for the bus rodeo, and it was great that we represented Oklahoma City when it was at our home base. Thank you.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, Jackie, for those comments. I appreciate that. Any citizens to be heard this morning? Are you back again? Come up here a minute.
I'm back again like a bad penny.
Well, shine that penny up.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Michael Hinton of 1729 Northwest 3rd Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73106. And I will say at the outset, it's jolly good to be in your midst again and to share with you some of the latest things, observations, and what I've been actively doing as a strong supporter of the transit system between Edmond, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City. And the first item is 3 items I'll address quickly. The ridership increase, I've been really encouraged and to see the ridership increase on the City Link and on Embark. I and a partner of mine who is on a medical appointment this morning, he and I have been out the past 3 months actively campaigning and encouraging people who are driving their motor cars to make use of the park and ride lots like Walmart, Target, Lowe's, or whatever, and using public transportation. And what that has resulted in is that many people coming back to me said, Michael, we want to thank you heartily for informing us that we've gone contacting our insurance agents and the discount or the cuts we're getting in our insurance rates by using public transportation. So I and my partner, Philip Sheriff, we're out doing some secular, I quote that, secular evangelization in the community to encourage this and to encourage more ridership and to build our ridership on the transit system between CityLink as well as Oklahoma City. And CityLink has been in contact with me, the associate director, and now that Social Security has moved, I'm sure you folks are aware of that, they moved out of Shepherd Mall. They're located in really in my estimation, is an out-of-the-way spot, which a lot of people are now complaining about because where it was at Shepherd Mall, it was convenient. Route 7 and 8 or 23, you could get there, and it's easily accessible. But sometimes leave it to federal government. They can't leave well enough alone. If it ain't broke, they still got to fix it. But anyway, the thing of it is that, like I said, just wanted to share with you folks this morning the input of what is going on out there in the field and observations that's being made. I did make a ride yesterday, Embark Route 5, and I'm extremely pleased with the rerouting of that because it is now accessible that people can get to, as opposed to where when it was on the Metro Transit. I mean, if that route was going in out-of-way places that really, I mean, who are we picking up in those areas? But now I'm noticing now that the ridership is on that particular route, and it's practical. And Embark, okay, I'm very impressed. It's the routes are being designed now that it is people-oriented, where people need to go to. And like I said, I'll be doing what I can as a citizen of the community to promote this. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. Your work, you must be doing a good job because I saw in our report, you'll hear in our transit, we had a record one-day ridership one day last month. So you must be doing a good job. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could real quick, I'd just like to say thank you. One of the distressing things for me is not just this meeting, but all of the meetings that involve all of the entities that deal with the lives of these citizens in this city don't have enough people like you who come forward and stand at the mic and say to folks like us, hey, this is what we need. Hey, this is what you're doing right or wrong. Hey, thanks a lot to you for coming out here and talking to us.
Thank you, sir. And I may interject, after all, we, the citizens of this community, it's our service, and it's what we put in it, it's what we get out of it.
Talk to the people who are around you and ask them to come forward and talk to all of us. We just had an election where only a third of the population came out to vote. Every doggone body in this society is responsible, and we all need to get out here and not just vote, but get out here and work to make this society what we all know it can be. Thank you a lot. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve our minutes of our October 30 meeting? All in favor? And then we had a transportation and parking committee meeting on October 16th. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We've got 6 items for individual consideration, and unless the trustees have any particular, Jason said he would like to make comment on item B and C just for a moment. So.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just wanted to point out items B and C are approval to use the city contracts to purchase a security system for our May Avenue facility, both the maintenance and administration building, as well as our transit center in downtown Oklahoma City. Item B is essentially approving a purchase with RFIP, the firm that will provide access control and security cameras. Item C is approving using a city contract to purchase the server and computer equipment that's needed to support that security system. So just as a reminder, this project was in our 5-year capital plan that was approved by the trustees in July. And also, as you recall, our FTA formula grant requires that we spend 1% of our grant on security enhancements. And this, to combine, this is roughly about a $200,000 project, so it's several years' worth of those allocations of formula grants that we've accumulated to where now we feel like we can actually accomplish a substantial project, and it'll make our security very similar to what you see in other city buildings in the downtown campus. So looking forward to implementing the project.
Okay, thank you. And also make mention to the trustees that we have our notice of meetings for next year is in there, so tear that out and take it home and get it on your calendar. All right, do I hear a motion to approve our consent docket? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Items for individual consideration. Item A is award a contract with Oakley's Landscaping for improvements at Union Station and approval of a change order number 1. Jason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Real quickly, this is the landscaping award. As you'll recall, when we performed a lot of the site improvements at Union Station, which included parking lot rehab, some removal of some trees, some drainage improvements. Essentially, those projects required, pretty significant demolition of the surrounding landscaping. So this project will go back in and put new landscaping around the Union Station facility. A couple things I wanted to point out is when we bid this project, we were trying to be very conscious of our budget. And so we issued a base bid, which was essentially sod, trees, the shrubs, an irrigation system, and then we included some alternates. One of the alternates was for some decorative boulders. One of the alternates was for some concrete edging around the beds that were designed. We also had an alternate for an outdoor plaza. And so after receiving the bids, what staff determined would be best would be to accept the base bid of $86,920, add the alternate of $7,920 for the concrete edging, and then $30,970 for the outdoor plaza, which will be essentially on the southeast side of the building. So the total bid is $125,810. Now, you'll also notice there's a change order as part of this item, and what we are proposing is a change order number 1, which is a deduct of $10,200 to that outdoor plaza alternate. And the reason for that is that alternate included about $10,000 worth of furnishings that we believe we can take out of this project and then quote or competitively bid locally rather than including it as part of the project. So with the change order, it takes the cost down to $115,610. I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
I have one quick question. The outdoor plaza, what is its intended use?
Well, really it's would just be mainly a gathering place for employees or anyone else that's using the facility. If we have meetings there and we want to have just an outdoor gathering place.
That's exactly where my question was headed. I know that this whole building and the site around the building and everything leading from basically the doorstep of Devon down to the flow of the river is going to be a part of a conceptualized entity, a park or something. I should know better what it's called, but however, forgive me. I'm wondering if, in fact, that facility has the potential to be a revenue stream for us, given that is going to be a park environment and folks will be recreating down in that direction. And if, in fact, pulling those dollars out rather than injecting more dollars into it so that it is more amenable, so that it is more accommodating, so that it is a place of destination for those folks who are going into that area, might be a better idea than trimming it down, even though the dollars are, I guess, questionable at this point.
Yeah, I think with the alternates that we've added, the outdoor plaza itself is actually pretty nice. It has pavers, outdoor planters, all of the shrubs and flowers and those kinds of things. Really, the deduct is just for removing the furniture from that. So the original design of the plaza with the, like I say, the pavers and all the surrounding amenities, those are still in the project. We just thought, we could probably get a better deal on furniture elsewhere rather than going through the landscaper.
Yeah, no, I think That's right. You know, and of course, we need to take into consideration, we're still working on the possibility of doing something else with the building, but, you know, all the work's been done, and we need to complete the landscaping and make the building presentable and nice to the public, and then if we do something else to the building, it'll just be more attractive to the next person, so. Right. Yeah. All right. Did you have something to say?
No, I just couldn't get my microphone.
Oh, okay. You were scrambling.
I picked this up. I think Chris thought I was going to
Try to take over the meeting. All right, do I hear a motion to approve item A?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, I knew you were going to talk about C, D, and E. Well, why don't we just let you, if you would, talk about B, C, D, and E all at once, and then we can discuss those.
Okay, item B, as you remember, in July, you approved the final plans and specs for the elevator replacement at Santa Fe Garage. We did receive 3 bids, Downey, Globe, and WL McNatt, and the Triad has reviewed the bids and is recommending we go with the WL McNatt and Company for $792,000. So this will allow us to go ahead and begin that work as soon as possible.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead
Yeah,
and talk about all of them?
let's just go on to all of them, then we can approve
Okay.
them.
And C is a change order 2 and amendment 2 to the contract with Lippert Brothers for the structural repairs at Century Center. Change order 2 involves some credits with some pavement markings and different things. Level 4, the big item, was on level 4, when they went in to start removing that waterproofing and the decking, it was like there were several layers. You know, if you imagine like a roofing job where they've just, instead of removing it properly and putting in a new waterproofing, they were just layering it on top. So there was a lot more work involved to get all of that down to the level to where we could replace that. And so there was an additional cost. And then we also had to remove and replace a drain pipe. The Amendment 2 consists of 4 items, and again, this was some additional work that was required by manufacturer's instructions for the waterproofing membrane. We also had some removal and replacement of the stair treads and vinyl tile and the cove-based trim for some or stairwells. Sorry. So the change order 2 represents an increase of $166,625, and then Amendment 2 also increased it by $79,416, with the total revised contract amount now at $2,981,676.86.
Okay.
So that's item C. Item D and E are companion pieces. Basically, the part of the work at Century Center involved when we replaced the deck. There was, in the specs, there were plans to remove or replace some fireproofing that was expected to fall down when we were doing the jackhammering and the replacement of the deck. Well, in conversations with the other 2 contractors, it was realized that they're putting in a fire suppression system, which then again eliminates the need for the fireproofing. So this change order, the task order and the request for proposals is to remove all the fireproofing on the beams on -2 level and then coat those and paint them. So we'll have a really nice finish, match the rest of the garage. Any questions? I think that's those four items you have.
E,
E,
oh.
I'm sorry,
that's
I don't
fine.
think I have
Okay.
E.
Okay, fine, thanks. All right. Any questions? And do I hear a motion to approve items B, C, D, and E?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item F is consideration of approval of purchase of 2 Dodge Caravans from Bob Howard Dodge. Just a brief explanation, and then
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is approval of 2 Dodge Caravans that will actually be additions to our support fleet. We're going to be purchasing these vans off of the state contract, and just as a reminder, we do keep a small fleet of minivans that our supervisors use as well as our operators use to shuttle between the South May facility and the transit center, along with the South May facility and other points along routes when we need to relieve or switch out operators.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve item F?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item G is approval of a contract with National Bus Sales and Leasing for the purchase of paratransit vans.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On this item here, again, it's a contract with National Bus Sales for the purchase of up to 18 paratransit vans. We anticipate initially purchasing 9 vans at a cost of $80,828 each. The purchase of the 9 vans will replace the 9 2009 model paratransit vans that we now have in our fleet that have reached the end of their useful life. Once these vans are purchased, our entire paratransit van fleet will be within its useful life. In other words, we won't have to be looking at replacing paratransit vans again until 2018. So one thing I did want to point out is we did only receive 1 bid on this procurement. We had a couple of vendors that were interested. One of the vendors requested we provide or approve some substitutes. We didn't agree with the substitutes that vendor was providing, so we rejected them. Ended up only with 1 bid. We did do a price analysis. We compared this price of $88.28 to what we paid roughly 2 years ago for paratransit vans, and realized it's about a 2.3% increase from what we paid last time, which again was a couple of years ago. So we feel that price is reasonable. We also went out and compared similar contracts to other transit agencies and found that this price is consistent with some of the lower ones, and it's actually less than what we found in looking at a couple of other contracts that other agencies had with this same vendor. So we feel like although we received the 1 bid, the price is certainly reasonable.
Yesterday, I asked Jason about this because $80,000 for a van sounded like a huge amount of money, and he clarified that it's really more like a truck body, a truck bed. I mean,
Yeah, it's
with a big box on it. That
Right.
it's not just a van.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the bigger Embark Plus vans that you see that, I mean, they have wheelchair lifts. You can actually stand up in them. They're sizable. I think they're about 25 feet long, roughly, 26 feet long.
Okay. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item G? All in favor? Aye. Item H, and I guess I can speak to that briefly, but when we approved our last fee schedule, apparently on the fee schedule, we had a couple different rates for event parking, and Jason said this morning that this new fee schedule is just to simply make the event parking the same at each garage in our system, and that would be $8 for event parking. So if there's no questions, I hear a motion to approve item H. All in favor? Opposed? Our claims and payroll. Any questions by any of the trustees on any items? If not, I would have a motion to ratify. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Financial reports, Jason, if there's any items you'd like to make particular mention of or just review them briefly.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Real quickly, if we could start with page 2 of your financial report. This is the financial statement for the Transportation Division. Just to point out a couple of things, our revenues overall are slightly above target as to where we would expect them to be after 3 months of the fiscal year. You'll notice our passenger revenue is over by almost 5%, and that's attributable to fare box revenue on the fixed route system as well as the paratransit system. We do see a little bit of decline on our share fare, but it's more than offset by what we're getting in the fare box. Also to point out the very bottom revenue source there, the other category, That's where we track our advertising revenue as well as some of the revenue we receive, for example, from Oklahoma County for their portion of Route 19. Last month I mentioned advertising revenue was down about 11%. Well, through this month it's up 7%, so it's kind of a timing thing on when those ads sell and how many wraps we have at one time on our buses. And then the reason we see a decline there, I shouldn't say a decline, but where we're under budget is we have not, as of September, we hadn't received the payment from Oklahoma County for Route 19 because we had just approved that item as a board in September. So you'll see that rebound in coming months. And then on the operating side, we continue to be under on expenditures. On personnel services, we're just over 9% under budget, and again, that has to do with our insurance costs coming in under budget as well as some of our vacancies. Our supplies are under budget as well, and so are our other services and fees. I will mention that our fuel continues to be under budget. I believe we are actually, I have that here, we're actually paying about 12 cents less per gallon than what we had budgeted, so that we're getting some help from fuel prices on our supply category. Looking at parking, page 3 of the financial report, you'll notice parking revenues are under budget by almost 10%, and that's really all attributable to the fact that when we developed our budget, we had anticipated having the new garage open and receiving revenue from that. So when we look at the numbers, if we had that revenue and the garage would have been open, we actually would have been over target on our revenue. So we will expect that to pick up as we get in further into the year. At the same time, although our revenues are under target, so are our expenses. We didn't have the expenses of keeping up with the garage for the 3 months either. So we really kind of see an offset there between expenses and revenues. And then looking at the river financials, again, revenue is over target by about $13,911, and most of the driver on that revenue is the non-transit type cruises, the specialty cruises, the charter cruises, as well as concessions. Those are the revenue items that are pushing us over target. Looking at the operating expenditures, we're slightly above, we're above our expenditure budget. The other services and fees includes advertising. We're a little bit over on our advertising. And then on supplies, the $5,000 you see that we're over budget is a timing of a fuel purchase. We basically purchase fuel in bulk for that facility. So that's a quick run through of kind of a few of the highlights of the financials. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, any of the trustees? All right. I have a motion to receive our financial reports. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, our program reports. Transit system is first.
Right. There we go. All right. I'll go ahead and start talking a little bit about the transit system report and hit just a few of the highlights. We have one slide that we'll look at here in just a minute, but would like to start by talking about our fixed route ridership. September was a very good month for us in terms of fixed route ridership on our Monday through Friday service. We averaged 11,883 passenger trips per day, which again is basically a new record for us in terms of average daily ridership. That equates to about a 7% increase over average daily ridership last September. And the other thing I wanted to point out about our September ridership is we had, as far as the data we could look at, we had the strongest day we've had. We averaged over 14,000 passenger trips on one Friday in September. In fact, I believe it was September 19th. So that was very exciting to see, that kind of ridership when only last year we were averaging about 10,148. So we're certainly seeing that. And you can actually look on the chart that we have on the screen. This is just kind of a comparison just to give you a sense of what average daily ridership has done since we implemented the changes back in April. And you can see that we've seen significant increases month over month since those enhancements. So again, we still have a long way to go, and we know that with the cool weather coming on, we're going to see some dips in ridership. We always see that, but we will be monitoring that in terms of continuing to compare this year to last year in terms of effects the system enhancements might have had. So. Our Saturday ridership on our fixed route system was relatively flat when we compare back to last September. In fact, the numbers were almost identical at just under 4,700 passenger trips on average for Saturdays. And then when you look at our Monday through Friday and our Saturday ridership, all of our fixed route passenger trips, through September of 2014, we've provided 789,986 trips. That's almost 40,000 more cumulatively than what we provided during that same time period last year. So that equates to about a 5% increase overall cumulatively. Now, you have to kind of stop and look at how many operating days were in each one of the years, but that gives you kind of an overall sense of where ridership is going. Wanted to also talk a little bit about our paratransit operations, and you can see that in the table that's included in your report. But through September, we've provided 12,052 paratransit trips. That represents about a 6% increase cumulatively from where we were last year. And I mention that to also say that if you'll recall, last year we finished at about 5% growth in paratransit. So this is, 6% growth in paratransit through 3 months on top of about an overall 5% growth last year. So we continue to see lots of demands on the paratransit side of our operations. And granted, we addressed that in our budget this year with an additional paratransit operator position and call taker. But just to keep you informed of that trend is continuing. Talking real quickly about road calls and accidents, we had an unusually good month in terms of road calls. We averaged 34, almost 35,000 miles between road calls, where our average is more in lines of 14 to 15,000. I think the mild weather certainly helped us with that. Anytime we have mild weather, our road calls go down. In terms of accidents, we had a relatively high month in terms of accidents, so this is something that we will certainly look at moving forward. We had 5 preventable accidents in September, and I believe that's the highest I can ever remember reporting. Now, they were all very minor in nature. A couple of street signs were involved. We caught a gutter on a building with one of our paratransit vans, so they were all very minor, but nonetheless, they're preventable accidents, and that's something that we have to continue to look at and counsel operators when we have those incidents occur. And then I wanted to finish up just by talking real quickly about the performance measure table that's in your report. We changed our transit system report up just a little bit to report our performance measures consistent with how they're reported in the budget document, how they're shared with City Council, and so forth. And I wanted to make a couple of comments on the performance measures. The first one is you look at the number of passengers per operating day, the second measure there in the list. We are going to restate that data. It's showing 8,700 passenger trips. You'll notice the measure actually indicates it's supposed to be for Monday through Friday service. We're actually inadvertently pulling in all operating days, which includes Saturdays and Sundays, because we do, from I believe April to September, have a Discovery bus out on Sunday. So that's pulling that number way down. So I just wanted to let you know we'll be restating that. The other thing I wanted to talk about quickly was the percent of on-time bus arrivals. This is the first time that we've been able to actually begin reporting and managing that on-time performance data using our AVL system, the computers and the technology that are in the bus. And so it's a significant shift from the way we've managed that data in the past. So when you look at this number here, this number is cumulative for all routes, all stops. And so, again, we're having to kind of work with our operators and emphasize that, not only do we need to leave the transit center on time, return to the transit center on time to make the next lineup, but we also need to be using that technology to make sure we're hitting each individual stop when we need to be there. So, this is kind of our baseline. Again, I feel good that we now have the data and we can manage from it, but we certainly want to, again, consider this as a baseline and continue to work and get this number up. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Long-range plan, and Michael?
Morning.
Morning.
Considering that we're in the spirit of daylight savings time, going to keep it really brief, like a 2-minute drill, okay? We're helping the Urban Land Institute plan its trip to San Antonio and to Austin for later this month. And part of what our job is to basically get them to where they're meeting with some people in San Antonio about their new hub, about some of the new things they have going on. And on the way back, we're going to make a stop at a transit-oriented development in Austin where there's several hundred units of housing at a commuter rail stop. And the benefit is those 30 or 50 people in the bus will really get kind of a good experience of seeing that and meeting with people that have helped develop and build that out. We also had a chance to present at the Texas APA conference last month and show what's kind of going on in Tulsa and Oklahoma City that's good in terms of bus and rail planning. This coming week, I think the Chamber is going to have a half-day retreat on transit. And this will be a great chance to elevate the importance of transit and the awareness of it and its needs for a lot of leaders in our region. And staff has worked with ACOG and with the Chamber on developing that, and even have been working a little bit on a very conceptual kind of a map of future transit corridors for the region, but again, very, very conceptual and kind of builds on work that's been going on both at ACOG and at Cotpa for some years. And in terms of other leaders, just mention that Jason and I had a chance to meet last week with the very professional board of the Alliance for Public Transportation. Found out a lot about the kinds of plans and aspirations they have for the coming year. So with that, even though what I said doesn't add any daylight, hopefully it was a little bit illuminating, okay?
Any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Larry, will you be on that ULI trip to San Antonio?
Sure, yeah, I plan to be at that so that I can learn and perhaps help show a few things as well.
Okay.
This might go back to the question of just transit in general. How are the bus stop signs installation coming?
Sure,
On that?
we've completed phase 1, so all of the Metro Transit signs have been replaced with the new, blue Embark bus stop signs. In fact, staff met with our contractor that's doing the sign work actually yesterday to start talking about phase 2, which will be the flag style poles with the route information and the unique stop ID. So, I think we're looking at roughly 2 weeks before we'll have our first set of those additional signs and we'll just put them up route by route.
All right, Larry, thank you. Parking.
Okay, occupancy, as you can see in your books, the occupancy still remains around 115% with no major changes. I don't expect to really see the effect of the new garage probably for a couple of months, even though we've just now, because we run these behind as far as our numbers, but it'll start going down somewhat. Our event, can't even talk today, our event activity is picking up with Thunder, Barons, and Blue Games. We're also working with the Civic Center in pre-selling parking for their events as well using the new garage. Some construction updates. Century Center remains on schedule. The majority of all the deck repairs have been completed. They're currently working on the heliclines. Our contractor thinks he'll be out of there by the end of November. As you remember, though, we're still working with, there's 2 other contractors on site, so we'll kind of monitor that on whether or not we want to, start putting people in the garage or continue the shuttle. The shuttle's still working really well. We'll have that as long as we need it.
Debbie, what is the expectation for the full completion with all the contractors out, where we can have the garage completely functional?
I'm going to say mid-January or 1st of February.
That is, okay.
Yeah.
When's Opupco planning on moving on?
I think February.
February.
The I-40 lots and surface lots, I was in a meeting this week with ODOT and OG&E. They're going to start doing some major construction, utility construction along E.K. Gaylord and 3rd Street. It looks like there's a possibility we'll probably lose one of our A lots on I-40, and then also our overflow lot on Reno and E.K. Gaylord, the 61 and down, while they're doing that construction. But we'll work closely with the contractor and be able to keep lots open and available as we see fit. Santa Fe, with the approval of the contract today for the elevators, hope to get that started just as soon as possible. I believe we had like a 90 to 120-day completion, so that should be probably all through these months. We'll be working on that.
Can they just shut them, are they going to shut down
We'll shut down one elevator
at a time at each of the 2 locations?
Yeah, we'll have to, yeah. The Sheridan Walker, that project still remains on schedule. I know they started at the top, been working down, so they've been doing a lot of jackhammering. Craig's confirming, yes. With the Arts District Garage, thanks for everyone that showed up for our grand opening on Tuesday. We're still working through the final punch list, so you'll still see, some construction workers around finishing up some little minor details and different things like that. Also working with TAP Architect on the design for the retail area, and we're currently negotiating lease agreements with, 2 of them for sure. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to help.
Debbie, I have a question, and perhaps Laura could provide some input too. In working with the Civic Center on coordinating the use of the new Arts District parking garage for their events, is there any way we can at least temporarily activate the crosswalk signs, on Walker to allow people who may park here cross Walker Avenue with the benefit of the crosswalk signs?
I will talk to Public Works about that. I don't think those are installed. I think they're there,
but they just aren't activated.
I don't think there's any power to them or anything. So I will ask the question, though.
Well, and this is getting off our responsibility, but I think the growing use of Walker, both from a pedestrian and an automobile standpoint, may require those crosswalk signs to be activated at some point.
I cross that street myself. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, it looks like poles are up, but I didn't.
There's no power to
Yeah.
them. They're not hooked to the system. So
You might, for everybody that was not at the opening of the garage, tell us the occupancy, how many already, and what's the next potential block of.
Yeah, we currently have 430 monthly parkers, and then we will be, we know we've got an additional 300. We're still getting requests from ones that we had not anticipated, so we're kind of holding off and seeing where we are with our numbers once, knowing that we also be working with Century Center with Opupco and those numbers that they've requested. So that's one of the things we're still working on as far as, once everybody gets settled in and where we are.
Are you working to relocate people from the Santa Fe garage over to?
And that was part of the plan too, yeah.
For one, I had looked at the document, but I just noticed there's a negative vacancy rate, and that's just really exciting to me. It's been exciting to watch since I came here, to watch how the entity has grown. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like once the Arts District garage is added to it. because there's so much excitement all over the place about that new thing opening in downtown.
I think we'll still be close to 100%, which is almost unheard of, even with once we get the Arts District full. So.
Thank you, Debbie. Marketing.
Well, we've just had a very exciting month, I think, with the grand opening of the Arts District Garage and also our ridership having these record numbers. And we've also saw sold-out cruises, not to steal Jeannie's thunder, on the Haunt the River. And by the way, you should take a look at the decorations that they do around that time. They're just phenomenal. A lot of fun down there. So be sure and next year take advantage of those and take your children or grandchildren out to see those. So it's going to be hard to top this month after we've had all of these pretty exciting things going on. But I wanted to share just a few things with you that took place in our kind of our field, and that was the health fair. So we have just a few pictures here, if I can get that to work. In your notes here that we provided, we did see about 200 flu vaccinations take place at the transit center that morning. We had a few employees that take advantage of that as well. Keep in mind, these are free. I mean, these don't require a copay. And anyone can come down and take advantage of these, whether you have insurance or not. The Oklahoma City County Health Department provided these so that we could provide this public service both to our ridership and our employees. So it was a really good showing that we had. We had probably more than 450 actually come through, look at the tables. We had also out at on the perimeter of the transit center. There we go. The Mobile Smiles Unit, which was worked in coordination with Delta Dental and the Neighborhood Services Organization, NSO. They were there to provide dental screenings and provide recommendations and allow some of our customers to seek additional dental assistance. They usually had to have a referral first, and this is a unit in which they could go and have a checkup done and then a referral subsequently. We also had quite a few come through for blood pressure checks and various other health screenings, and a lot of vision information was handed out, as well as the State Health Department always participates, and they provided a lot of good information because of the recent scare with other things going on in the nation. They provided just checklists on should something like Ebola or some other type of infection take place in your area, here are some steps that you can take and to decrease the amount of panic in your home, and just communication tips for how to communicate with your children about these types of things. So very good practical information. And then that's NSO there talking to someone about dental screenings. They had a booth inside the transit center as well. And then Delta Dental, she has been a staple in at our event for the last couple of years, and she just does a great job. They passed out more than 600 toothbrushes at the transit center. Many took more than one. Many said, I've got children at home, can I take some? Of course. But she goes around, she takes pictures with kids, and she is very charismatic and just has a great time with our riders and just those who come in and visit. And interestingly enough, we had several come in that didn't use transit also. They actually drove in, and because they heard about it on the news, parked, came in and made use of the services and then left. So that was encouraging too, that's at first touch. That's a great first experience with public transportation, our transit center. So we look at that as a positive, and at least we were able to impact them, whether they used our service or not at this point. We hope that they will. Real quick, I'm going to switch screens here. This week we went live with our journey planner on our website, and here you will see, I thought I had a mouse here. There it is. So I've got an address already pre-populated in there. This will bring us down to the City Hall here from South Oklahoma City. This integrates with the Google Trip Planner that is basically what we're calling our first phase of the Journey Planner's development. Thank you, Jeannie. I thought I could manage it with this, and then I was wrong. All right, so there it's going to pull up a trip, just like if you plan directions with your car. Many of you probably have used it like I have. Jeannie, if you click over on the orange line underneath the time at 10:05, that will then, so that orange line tells you what part of your trip is public transit using the bus. Just above that, you noticed a dotted line. That's the part that is going to be your walk from your home or where your starting point is to the closest stop. It also gives you an estimated time of the trip for you. So the great thing about this is this integrates with all of the stops, and the next phase that we're working with Google right now is it tells you the location right there, but also the stop ID. So that we'll be adding that, and we hope to see that within the next couple of months. So at that 10:06, you should see a stop ID number along with that. And here's why this is important. If you'd go back, Jeannie, to our the first tab of our website and click on the real-time tab on the right. And I'm sorry, so you see where the Journey Planner is, right under the search button. And so you enter, let's say, stop 51. And so this is going to give us a full system view of all of our bus stops in Oklahoma City. And this actually pulls real-time information. So it's going to tell you if for some reason real-time information is not available, it will provide you with a scheduled time. You can click on any one of those stops. If you see on the top left there, a kind of a navigation panel comes up. That A to B area says, I want to plan a trip from this stop. So you won't have to type in the address of that stop or anything. It'll just automatically allow you to do that. And it also shows you what the next 2 bus times are for that stop. Jeannie, if you want to click on a different one, it'll just repopulate with information for that stop itself. And then if you'll scroll up, this was a matter of convenience that we wanted to do. And let's just go to any other page, if you want to just click on some other page there. So it's kind of hard to see, at least on my screen here, but on the right side, on all of what we call our secondary pages, those 3, what we're calling 3 important tools will always be with you. So on the far left side, you'll see Journey Planner, Routes, and Real Time. They're kind of on the very far left, and they'll fly out there. And that'll allow you to start planning your trip immediately from right there. And or if you find something that you're looking for and you go, I need to know what the stop is close to there, you can go down to the real time again, and it brings you to that. And then, as always, one of our most popular destinations on our website is the Routes tab that you'll see right in the middle. And that is basically will take you to all of the information for our routes, as well as a PDF that you can download and the timetable for that. So that was something that we had a pretty exciting week this week with just getting this launched. We will be doing quite a bit of promotion about it. We are required by Google to work with them on and coordinate that with them, but they don't give us the option of when it goes live because it just happens, and so you have to be ready to go. But we should see some things in the media in the next couple of weeks just about that itself. All of this did go through a team of testers, so we had solicited the help of some of our riders and those who use our system to help us test it, make sure it worked. So we had an opportunity to kind of preview that with that group then. And just finally here, I wanted to mention that we have a lot of planning going on right now with all of these other services that we're looking at. So in the beginning of the year, as you know, we're looking at adding night service. We began discussions with the 20 districts along 23rd Street because that's a very heavily populated area, both residentially, but a growing business community is there as well. So we've already met with the Uptown District. We have additional meetings, and we hope to be at their upcoming board meeting as well to discuss the changes that are taking place. We've recently met with the class in Tim Penn, and we also participated in their neighborhood night out a few months ago. So we've already started developing that relationship. And then just this week, we met with the city planning, a couple of individuals from city planning, just to talk about those corridors and to better understand what the pedestrian infrastructure is, and just the things that we might have to battle as we try to promote this service, because throughout the city there are things that we all have to to work on, and we are going to be a consideration as to the success of this program. And so we want to just have a full understanding and grasp of what those might be and how we can overcome those. And a lot of those deal directly with just what is traffic counts. How do we understand what that's like in the evening? We've never done this before. So it's very exciting, but it's a little scary at the same time because we're putting ourselves out there outside of our comfort zone. But I have no doubt that we're gonna do really well with it.
Is there a mobile app?
You know what? We've got that in the works as well. So a national company who actually international, they provide transit information like this all over the world. They're called MOVIT, M-O-O-V-I-T, and they have just about every country that has public transportation, they have representation there. We were in discussions just this week about us providing them with that information and how soon that would take to get out there and in the market. We're hoping that that type of partnership will keep us from having to invest in our own personal app, because investing in it initially also requires an ongoing maintenance. And so we're trying to keep that as much on the private side as possible.
All right.
Any questions?
One thing I'd like us to consider is trying to develop a little timeline for our modern streetcar. We need to keep that in front of the public. And right now, it's just not out there. People, to me, I may be wrong, but, we've done the RFP for the equipment. I don't know when that's due, but just something in all this good work you're doing, but let's plug in the modern streetcar and keep the public aware that this is coming.
Perhaps we could invite the MAPS 3 people to come and make a presentation like they have to the city council.
Yeah, I'll coordinate with the MAPS office, and we'll get another update.
I just think it's either their responsibility or ours, but both, to keep this in the forefront so the public knows that it's going to be here someday.
In that venue of public knowing, there's a presentation on our local PBS station, OETA, and I think it's called Oklahoma City A to Z. At the top of that, they talk about the old streetcars that were here and that the streetcars are on their way back again. It doesn't talk specifically about when they're coming to us, but it does mention, for those folks who do watch that presentation, that it's on the horizon and coming again, and that does place it out there kind of in that public venue.
And the last thing I wanted to leave you with was just that we were recently, did receive quite a few awards, and I want to give kudos to our team who worked on the various projects through over the years, but also our marketing committee that helps guide us and give us direction and helps just set the tone for and the bar and the level that we want to reach in our communications to on public transportation. So that it could not be done and couldn't happen without your support. And so what I'd like to do is just show you the winning grand prize that we did receive was for our different people, different reasons. Just go right to the very last one down there. One more. There we go. And this was back before we actually made the transition to Embark.
Different people, different reasons. GoMetro.org. Different people, different reasons. GoMetro.org.
Click it off. So the whole impetus behind that campaign was to take realistic reasons as to why you might ride the bus, And then to also take those, because we've all heard them countless times, but what's a new way to present this? And what was a new way to help communicate the need to use the service? And so basically, it's their literal, practical concerns at the beginning, and they just gradually get a little more exaggerated and goofy towards the end. And what was appealing to about this was that it didn't place this huge cloud over public transit of you have to do this. This is something, if you want to be green or if you want to be healthy, you need to do all these things. It's more about taking a lighthearted approach. And those of you who have ridden and used our service, you know that there's a community on board. And so it's not this serious message that has to occur all the time. And that's what resonated with our peers when they saw that. And we were very appreciative of their accolades because they presented some fantastic work at APTA as well. And Councilman Greenwell, I think he noticed that as well. We had stiff competition for sure. Thank you.
All right, Michael, thank you. Great report. Appreciate that. All right, a river. Getting down to the end of the season, I guess.
Yes, we are. We are definitely towards the end here. September was a very good month for Oklahoma River cruises. In order to improve efficiency and control our costs, trips in September were reduced by 47%. This resulted in increased riders per service hour by 80%. We had a record 12 riders per service hour in September. We've never had that high of a number. And by using that strategy of cutting trips and controlling the costs in that way. Year to date, our ridership in all three service categories was up 17.7%. And we're very excited about that. A lot of that has to do with the work of Public Works to keep the dams and locks in good working order. As Michael mentioned, Haunt the River took place in October. We ran 6 such events. The Exchange Landing was decorated with graves, with rising dead deckhands and spiders and all kinds of scary things. And then one of the river cruisers was fully decorated with a Jolly Roger and the Halloween decorations within for those events. And then on Saturdays, we ran that boat for ferry service and had costume contests for the young riders that came on board. All in all, it improved our ridership on Saturdays in October, and I think it contributed greatly to that good number that we had for riders per service hour. As for now, we are in the process of planning 2015. Again, the focus is on efficiency, keeping the costs in line and keeping the riders per service hour and the revenue per service rider as high as we can get it. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Jeannie. All right. Do I hear a motion to receive our program reports? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right. Any items from the trustees? Councilman?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. I would just like to request that some of the information that was presented here this morning, I think it'd be very helpful to have a similar presentation to the City Council. I don't think they appreciate all the improvements and the achievements that especially Embark has obtained over the past several years, and I think it'd be helpful, and perhaps we could coordinate that with Mr. Hinton, who attends many of our meetings, being there as well, because it is very good to hear positive comments from people who utilize the service. So all the information from the marketing perspective and again, just what Embark has been able to achieve, I think would be very helpful. And Michael, your comment about riding the Embark bus, you actually become a part of a community at least for 30 minutes. And if you do that enough, you begin to actually develop acquaintances with the other individuals who ride the bus. And while Mr. Hinton brought out another good reason this morning that I had not thought about, to begin riding the bus, and that is reducing your automobile insurance. There are other benefits beyond just monetary benefits that I think we obtain when we do share that trip to work and for other reasons with the community. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, David.
Mr. Chairman, if I could really quickly, again, let me say how exciting it is for me that when I came on board here, things weren't as great as they are right now. And it is great to see these entities inside of our city not just expanding, but expanding with a service and serviceability inside this marketplace. Those folks out there now are beginning to ride us like they've never ridden us before. They see us in a different light from what they've seen us before, and I can only think that it is reflective of the vision that you and the rest of the folks on this board have had for moving this entity forward, providing the service that those folks out there need to have. Bicycles, buses, parking, the river, gee whiz, it doesn't end, but it shouldn't end because it is providing those necessary and needed services that the people in the marketplace want. I'm excited. Thanks a lot to everybody here and to guys who are out there who actually do the real work.
I just want to again congratulate Michael and his staff. I think that's fantastic to win all these first place awards nationwide.
Okay. Barney?
I'll chime in too. I want to congratulate the staff on getting the trip planner, the journey portion of the website up and running, because I think that's another step. Small incremental steps make a great system, and it's a great step. While Michael was giving his report, I was on my phone and didn't have a mobile app, but I went to the website and clocked in my home and clocked in my office, and the trip time was a little long because I had to walk that last 2 miles, but it still shows promise. And, so thank you.
All right, Barney. Jason?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to recognize the Oklahoma Guide Dog Organization. They're going to be out on Monday to provide an appreciation luncheon for the Embark staff. So wanted to thank them for their willingness to come out and recognize our employees.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I hope everyone has a nice Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.